What's up, gangy? Welcome to Puka Pockets. I'm your host, Fuzzy Jardine. For you, my Hawaii people, let's go. Come follow this journey and learn financial education and watch the people that we bring on this show to educate you financially so that you can put money back into your pockets. Hello. What's up, gangy? My name is Fuzzy Jardine. Welcome to the Puka Pockets podcast. Today's guest is an icon. If you know bodyboarding, he's a name stapled into the industry, and I grew up looking up to this guy and frothing like, oh my God, this guy's awesome in the ocean. I remember watching him at Sandy Beach and stoked to have him as one of my first guests here on the show. So I want to welcome you, Hauoli Reeves. Thank you for coming on, bro.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's just awesome to sit, next to you and talk story, about who you are, where you came from, and then
right?
And what you're doing today. So
It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for that intro, brother.
Yes,
you're doing some great things. And,
Thank you, brother.
I've been watching you and was attracted to different projects, many projects you're doing and all the people you're helping. And so,
yeah, I mean, the thing was crazy when I seen, one day I'm driving, I'm like, Hauoli Reeves calling. So kind of was a trip, that I was like, hey man, I better answer this call because we've never talked to each other before that. We always seen each
Right.
other in the ocean and surf together and just never had a good conversation. And I think we had a pretty good long conversation talking about, my background, your background was kind of similar.
Yeah.
Growing up, on the east side of Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
And all the roads lead back to Sandy Beach from Oahu, right?
Right. Well, with the day of social media,
Yeah.
and so I follow all these different. So I had a life-changing event in a few years back, and so it's like when you follow certain things, then other people that follow those things pop up too, and so
Right.
I'm into the just trying to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than I was before. And so I saw your face, and I was listening to your whole story, and I was like, wow, because I remembered you from the beach.
Right.
You were like a fixture down there. We all were.
Yeah.
And so definitely remembered you, and I was like, wow, this guy's he's kind of had a similar experience to me. Let's connect, and just what's happening. I want to learn more. So
Yeah, a lot of our friends, right? Sandy Beach, right? Get into trouble with drugs, alcohol.
Right.
Some of them, passed away. A lot of them passed away, and then plenty went to jail too. And then you come out like, wow, they're surfing at Half Point. You see them again, like, oh, long time no see, bro. How you
Right.
doing? You looking like you're doing better. Yeah, changed my life. So it's kind of like the story that happened to me. Like I went down the wrong path, but bodyboarding was kind of the route to what I love to do, the ocean, right? Ocean, just like you,
right.
So I don't know. Talk to me about your upbringing. I know you were raised on the east side. You went what school you went
Right.
to?
I'm from Coolio.
Julio, boys,
Coolio,
watch
yeah.
out. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was blessed to have a big family there,
Yes.
and so Sandy Beach was a mainstay for us. That's kind of where that was our playground, so to speak. And like all of us, it was that culture. Hawaii's kind of a party place, so to speak.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
and that's how we grew up. That's how our parents grew up. So that's what we were taught. That's what we knew. And for me, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And until it wasn't fun. And it wasn't a choice anymore. I didn't have a choice. I was like, it was something that had just overtaken me.
Yeah.
And like a lot of us. And so, the lifestyle, all the parties, and I don't know, clubbing
Sick
was a
dog.
big
Remember
thing.
Sick Dog?
Of course, yeah,
Remember
yeah,
those days,
yeah.
right?
Oh, we were, yeah. I mean, it was just a way of life for us, right?
Trendy. Yeah, all the boys from
I
that
just feel
time.
grateful that I was able to come out on the other end,
Right.
in one piece, and
Right.
it nearly took me down.
Mhm.
And yeah, so yeah, the lifestyle, I was boogie boarding, right? So I found some notoriety and fame at an early age, in the sports inception, and
Right.
and being a beach boy, and if you spend as much time at the beach as we do, you better be good at it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have no excuse. It's like, you know. So yeah, so I was attracted to you because of that. We have that in common. We, both being watermen and stuff, and then actually hearing your story, I was like, wow, what a fascinating story. Like, and then to see what you're doing, how how we come full circle. Yeah, it's
Right.
just,
Right.
I guess pain is the great motivator.
Yeah.
You experience enough pain, that 2x4 upside the head, whoop-ha. It's like, okay, I gotta make some changes, bro. It's not working.
Yeah.
I don't like the pain.
Yeah. I mean, it's very. I'm very blessed to come out of where I came from, right?
Right.
Because a lot of people keep staying in that same circle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
It's
challenge.
hard to get out, right? The addiction, that lifestyle,
Yeah.
the mindset,
Exactly.
sometimes it's hard to get out of it because maybe they don't want to change,
Exactly.
and we don't know because everybody's different, and depression and all that kind of stuff
Of course.
is huge for like Hawaii people because we know it's super expensive, but like you said, we gonna party for everything, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there's a party for first birthday party, graduations, like
Right.
you know, so you know, it's easy to get in, get trapped into the net.
Exactly, right?
Because everybody around us, is partying or drinking, and like it's fun.
Yeah, like
Right.
what do you mean? It's like everyone drinks. My mom drinks, my dad drinks, my uncles, my cousins, my friends, and it's like, oh, how do you get out of the cycle?
Right. Yeah, but it comes to a point where it turns into like an addiction, and then it goes farther, and then you get into, doing things that is not correct, right?
Right.
And that's where,
The lengths we go.
yeah,
Right?
right. And the cars we're in, or the people we meet, end up with, and
Yeah.
like the situations, I put myself in.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be here today because a lot of like things that I've done, accidents, and like it's crazy that I'm still here today, and to be able to tell the story and be an inspiration, for others, like yourself.
But for the grace of God, right? The merciful hand of God.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. I guess, and we all have loved ones and friends that are still struggling with it, and we want to help them, and it's they until they're ready.
Right.
It's on God's time.
Yeah, we cannot change nobody, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I learned, that the only person that could have changed me was me, right?
Yes.
Yes, with having God in my life too was a huge part, and family, right? Family is huge too. That was always there to support me because my friends was my friends, but when I got locked up, it wasn't there, right?
Right.
You realize, oh man, I thought that was my friends,
Exactly.
even family members too,
Crickets.
where I was locked up, and the only ones that showed up was the ones that cared about me
Right.
and supported me, even though I, got into trouble. It was like, wow, did I realize who was the real deal, who was there for me when I got out, right? From that situation, I turned to them again and, asked for help to get back on my feet, and, worked my way slowly to where I'm at today. And it's crazy, from just coming out with $0 in my pocket,
Right.
and to go try and get a job with a record on, on your back. It's like an X on your back, and
Right?
you know, it was man, it was like disheartening because like I want a second chance, right? I'm like, dude, I paid my debt. I need help, like on job, right? You go up to you. I did how many applications?
The deck stacked against you.
Gong, right?
Yeah.
And then it was a blessing that I knew people that I was, locked up with that worked for they had a window cleaning company manager that
Oh,
I knew,
yeah?
and then
So you did some window
so I was
cleaning?
window cleaning, these buildings over here.
Nice.
Actually, we was in Waikiki. Became a manager after, but started at like $9 an hour. So that was
Wow, I used to do a little window
crazy.
cleaning myself.
Yeah, you know the trick.
Right? Dry rag.
I mean, it's a good job.
Yeah.
It was a good job. Clean work. And I mean,
Any job is a good job.
yeah, any job.
Any
right?
job. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Can I be like a handout again?
Yeah, no.
So
It's all good.
yeah, talk to me about growing up as a, like I would say we go to like maybe your,
Okay.
starting of your bodyboarding career. How'd you start it in bodyboarding?
Okay.
And where that led you, I don't know, going into your teenager years or becoming a professional,
Okay.
and like nowadays you see the social media, the marketing is much crazier now. But back then, I think they only had like 35 millimeter cameras, right? The one,
36 shots.
yeah, and then
And it was roughly $20 a roll
right,
to purchase the roll of 36, and then it was roughly $26 to develop that.
right,
So each time you push the trigger, that was money.
Yes.
Where now it's just a digital memory card. They just fire that stuff like there's no tomorrow. They go out, they got 1,000 shots plus, and where back then the photographers, like if you rode a wave and a photographer was out in the water and you were setting up and then you did a 360 and made a bunch of spray, they'd never shoot you again. Yeah, you were blacklisted. Well, F that guy, Rob. Because they're wasting money, It's like, hey, $5. That was like that was play lunch, bro. You ate good for $5, you know what I mean? And they shoot a burst at you, and that's money in the trash.
Right.
You didn't get very far. So, but anyway, yeah, no, it's certainly different today's age, and there's been a lot of change, and
yeah, your journey. How did you start? Like your dad, mom, who pushed you in the
Oh,
your first wave?
Okay, yeah. So check this out. My first board was actually a styrofoam. Remember those styrofoam ones? It wasn't
Right.
even a boogie board. It was
A white styrofoam board, or the blue, like the blue one with the two fins on the bottom. Remember
Oh
those?
yeah, with the handle. Yeah, you made the handle. Yeah. I remember that one. No, it wasn't even that one.
From
It was
Woolworth. I got one
Yeah.
from Woolworth. Do you remember Woolworth in
I
Kailua?
remember. Mine came from Stewart's Pharmacy in New Valley.
classic.
Believe it or not. So Stewart's Pharmacy was actually Mike Stewart's grandfather owned
Wow.
that. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
right next to Times. And my dad worked for the union, and so we would take trips to Kauai. He would the electrical union, and so he would do negotiations with the guys over there, and take my mom and I over there. And so my first wave was at Kalapaki. I was 3 years old, and we were tandeming
Hockey in Kauai.
in Kauai. Me and my dad were tandeming. He would like kind of body surf behind me and hold the board, and so we got about 3 waves like that. And then he says, "Okay, this one I'm gonna let you go. You're gonna ride them on your own." And we take off, and I'm like, "No, Dad, no." I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, right? Just petrified. And he lets me go, and I'm riding the wave all by myself, and I'm just having a fit. I'm screaming my head, bloody murder, "No, Dad, no!" And I pearl dived. Now salt water went right up my nose, and I tumbled, and I was burning sensation, and I went running up the shore to the hotel. We had a little place right on the water there.
Yeah.
I'm screaming at my "Oh, Dad, let me go on the wave." Oh, my mom comes out, "You son of a bitch." My dad's laughing. Oh, I was hooked instantly, that whole, the rush and everything. So that was my first experience,
Right
and then,
on.
yeah, so I owe, everything to my dad because he was a
Nice.
water man.
Yeah. Man, that's such a memorable moment, right? Like,
Oh, I never forget it,
was
like yesterday.
I remember mine was in Waimanalo, and my mom took me after we bought the board. Was like by the beach park, and
Yeah.
so like my first wave was like into the short break. It's like here, boom, like oh, I'm hooked.
You got the barrel, huh?
Go back for
Oh,
one more barrel, and Portuguese Man of War, and of course
yes.
you remember. But that was just the starting of the journey of my career,
Right.
like you like just hook, line, sinker, and enjoyed the ride.
What a blessing, yeah.
So
It's incredible, huh? Like I just think about it today, that the fact that I'm 56 and I'm having sort of a resurgence in my boogie boarding, and I'm having more fun than I ever did.
yeah, I know. I see all the OGs coming back with collaborating with each other, and I see you guys connecting. I see you connected with like Jeff Hubbard.
Right.
He's a team rider with Bomber Eyewear.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Super stoked to know the guy, know you too. Like you guys are giving back to the stoke for it's a cheaper way or more affordable way to enjoy the ocean. Of course, body surfing is cool, but
Right.
bodyboarding is like, man.
Yeah, as us as Hawaiians, we kind of, it's all a lifestyle. It doesn't matter what you want, to stand up paddle, you want a longboard, you're gonna shortboard, boogie board, body surf, you're a spear diver, you're a fisherman, it's all
One with the Aina, right?
yeah, it's all good. We don't really judge like,
Yeah.
some of these other guys. They like, they're kind of, oh, well, you're
you're a
some-
boogie boarder.
Yeah, you're a second class citizen or something. You know what I mean? It's like over here they know like, oh, bro, these freaking boogie boarders are nuts. You know what I mean? Like,
So what started like your journey after your dad pushed you? Like, did you go to the beach every day? Like, you had friends that went. I know you was talking about, was Mike Stewart living around?
no, I never knew. I never knew Mike Stewart until later in my career, and so Sandy's was like a thing for us. Me and my
Right.
cousins, we just load them up, and so I'm like, I was the only blonde haired kid in my family. So I was like, always grew up like, what the hell is wrong with me? You know what I mean? Why can't I just be brown like everybody else? I just, but so I was fortunate. I had a boogie board back then, and my cousins were always gunning for me to take that thing from me. So it was like king of the boogie board.
Right.
And so I learned how to hang on to that thing real good. So we would like, it was fun, like who can hang on to the boogie board the longest. And they could never get it from me. But no, so, spending all that time, I just fell in love with it wholeheartedly. Just the whole, everybody at the beach, the crew, it was such a nice, healthy atmosphere. And just boogie boarding was it's just such a great thing to do, like Sandy's, Makapu'u, it was just kind of depending on what the winds are, we go back and forth. And I just remember thinking to myself that I love this so much. This is all I want to do.
Right.
I mean, I love it so much that I don't have any time to do anything else. The only thing I have time for is eating and sleeping. So I need to figure out a job that will pay me to boogie board as much as I want. And I came to the conclusion that I had to get paid to boogie board. And
Crazy.
and I remember telling my friends and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a pro boogie boarder. And so I went to this school. The school I went to, high school, was Academy of the Pacific.
Wow.
And so fortunately, a lot of my classmates before me, some of the alumni, were real famous surfers that we had. Robbie Nash went there, Buzzy Kerbox, Ben Severson, Hans Heidman went there.
Wow.
And so, we had these guys as examples for us, like, hey, these are successful watermen. So this is like a viable thing. And it was an atmosphere where the teachers were like, oh, okay, that's what you want to do. You can do it. Like, that's what we're going to work for. But I remember some of my friends telling them, hey, I'm going to be a pro boogie boarder. And they're like, you're out of your mind. You can't be a pro boogie boarder. There's surfers don't even get paid to surf.
Right.
And you telling me you're going to ride that boogie board? And I was like, yeah, watch me.
Yes.
That's all I needed, bro. Is just watch.
Let me prove you wrong.
Yeah. And one day I showed up at the beach and they had this Maury Boogie contest over there. And I was like, oh, wow, there's a contest today. And so I entered in the expert division and ended up winning the thing.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was like, you guys unjuice me. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool, you know, but come on, bro. Really? They go, no, you earned it. You won it, you know? So
Who was in that heat or that competition?
So it was all the top guys at
Ben
that time.
Severson or
You know, I'm not 100% sure if Ben was in that one or not, but it was.
Pat Caldwell, did Jack Lindholm was there too, or?
Yeah, so they also had the other event was even bigger than the Moray contest was the Helena Point Body Surfing Association, and that was even a bigger event. I mean, they had the bikini contest and body surfing
Sashimi
too.
Rock, and that's when Pipe Littles used to just rope, right?
Well, this year it was at Shore Break.
Wow.
The Middle Peak was
On
huge.
fire.
And so I entered that one the week after, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I won that one too. I couldn't believe it, bro. I was like, wow, you know, this is for me.
Right.
And then, so that gave me kind of opened the door for, hey, the photographers are like, who's this guy? You
Right.
know,
Confidence too, right?
give me a shot, you know, and then I got a couple sponsors and then what really set the pace for me is because I was kind of an unknown. Like I was a little late to the party. So you already had the established guys, Jack Lindholm, Daniel Kaimi, Keith Sasaki, Stuart Caldwell, and those guys. And I was like, I'm a couple of years younger than all those guys, 2, 3, 4 years younger.
A young gun.
Yeah, so I just kind of new to the party. Nobody really knew who I was. Bodyboarding magazine had been out for a couple of issues. And I was like a Bible, you know. I would we wear the pages out of that thing, just reading. Wow, it was so cool. And so I went out to Pipeline this one day with Jack Lindholm, and I actually bribed him with a bag of weed to take me out to the North Shore. I said, Jack, I want you to show me the North Shore, you know, Pipeline with the man up there. So can you show me the ropes and stuff? So okay. So we went out there. And I remember it was a huge day at Pipeline, and all the, you know, Dane Kealoha, Marvin Foster, Max Maderos, all the boys were out. The Ho brothers, you know, Roy Russell, the boys are out. And then I'm like looking at all my idols out here like, wow, you know. And this big set came in, and it was like 5-wave set. And the last wave of the set, I managed to catch it on the inside, and it was kind of a foamer, you know, it was all like whitewashed from the sets before, but I pull in to take off on this thing. I didn't know anything about Pipeline, and it started to close out on the inside. It's a pretty good sized wave, like solid 8-footer. And the thing, the north hooked in, and there was nowhere to go. I couldn't straighten out. I was going too fast to duck dive. I couldn't get over the top of it. And the only thing I had option was just to launch it. And I just launched it, and I was so high in the air, and I was like, oh my God, do I bail? And I thought, well, I'm up here, I might as well just hang on. And I hung on, and I landed that thing, and I rode it all the way to the shore. And my friend runs up on the beach, Brian Kalapotas, and he says, oh my God, that aerial, bro, every camera on the beach was like click, 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 click. All you heard was a camera going off. And I was like, just happy I never got clobbered, you know? And so that shot ended up showing up in the Bodyboarding magazine. That was my first picture in the magazine.
So crazy.
And I went to with my photographer friend down to the post office box, because he shot for the magazine, and I knew that I knew I was gonna have a shot. I didn't know what. Kisasaki was working for the magazine. He said, "Oh yeah, you got a quarter page, and you're doing some kind of a turn." And so I'm reading through the magazine. I'm looking at all the pages, and I come to the center spread, and it was a shot of me. And I didn't know it was me. And I was like, I looked at this shot, and I thought it was a Brazilian. And I looked at this shot, and I said, these fucking Brazilians. Bro, you can't beat them. You know what I mean? They're too good, these guys. Bro, look at this shot. How am I going to beat that, right? I'm thinking it was a Brazilian guy,
right?
You know, launching this big aerial, and it was the most it was the most insane shot I ever saw in the magazine. I read that thing like it was the Bible. And I was just kind of like, bro, these guys are unreal. And so, who is this? Who's this freaking Brazilian, right? And I read it and it said, Hawaiian Hauoli Reeves. And I couldn't believe it. My heart dropped, bro. I was like,
Wow.
I'm like, whoa, I look closer. I'm like, oh my God, that is me. I'm like, holy shit. My whole life changed at that very moment. That one wave changed my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew at that moment I had arrived.
Yes. So crazy how
One wave, bro.
one wave.
And I just said to myself, it's on.
Right.
I knew it at that moment because my own initial
Right.
feeling of like, wow, I didn't know that was me, you know, and
Yeah.
like this is freaking insane.
Yeah, and the magazines, like I used to like
Yeah.
read it religiously too, right? Like,
Right,
Like,
that's-
oh, look at all these shots.
It
Right?
was, that magazine was fire back
Yeah.
then. And so
Bodyboarding
I
magazine.
knew at that moment, I'm like, I'm gonna get on that phone. I'm gonna get any sponsor I want.
There you go.
I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It's on, baby. Where are we going? Tahiti, Fiji, Bali, Mexico? Oh, let's go. I knew it. I was like, oh, bro. And so,
So what kind of like fins or boards were you riding back then? Where you were riding the Churchills, the Mori Boogie Mach 77? I remember I used to love the Mach 77.
that was the best board.
right.
The best board, the Mach 77.
Yeah.
And so that's the board I was riding in the photo. And then I like the Scott fins.
Scott fins. Okay.
Yeah, the Scott fins were real popular. They were a little heavy, so I used to put them on the sander, belt sander,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to sand down, take some of the material off them to lighten
Go a
them
little
up,
bit lighter,
customize them a little bit, yeah.
So I just remember the big bottom turns and looking at your photo and you looking at the camera in the short
Yeah,
breaks.
yeah.
You know?
But just as fun today as it was
yeah.
back then. I just so grateful that you know, we have that. It's, you know, it's our culture. So it's Hawaiians, bro. It's like,
So, after that it was, contests against it, getting paid to ride for companies. How'd that go?
so I was a little late to the party, like I said. I was like already like 16, and I was thinking to myself, oh man, I'm late, but that's just the timing. That was God's timing, It wasn't. So I just had to make do with it. So I figured, I was like, it's all marketing, So I was like, okay, I have to create a persona, a character. So I'm like, what are these, how am I going to differentiate myself from the rest of the pack?
Right.
How am I going to go to the sponsor and convince them that they're going to pay me $2,500 a month to ride a boogie board? Right. Well, so I'm like, okay, well, I got to have the fast car.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the good-looking girl under my shoulder. Okay, I gotta, create this character. So at the time, there was a basketball. It was the Chicago Bulls. And so you had Michael Jordan,
Right.
and Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman, that's right.
And so Michael Jordan was the champion. He got all the points, everything. But Dennis, people didn't really care about what Michael Jordan was doing. They wanted to know what Dennis Rodman was doing, because he was like
The show.
He was a showman.
Yeah.
So I used him as an example. I said, this guy, that's me. I'm not the best boogie boarder.
Right.
I don't do the best maneuvers or whatever. But like Rodman got the ball, I got the waves.
Yeah.
So I could get the waves.
Yeah.
That's one thing I could do.
Yeah.
I kind of had because it's kind of funny. I came from, I used to race BMX bicycles when I was young. And so and I used to play soccer. So my quads and my legs were like really developed, and I used to do a lot of hiking.
Right.
And so I had like really good, so catching waves was like my thing. And that was I had an unfair advantage over my competition. So it was like Rodman, Rodman got the ball, I got the waves, done deal. Now I just got to show him why I'm the fun guy, I'm not.
Right.
I was like, I'm not gonna be this cookie cutter freaking Daniel Boone kind of a guy. I'm gonna be the wild guy, say the outlandish stuff. And
Like you and Kainoa McGee, I remember used to, beyond the
Kainoa.
magazines, right? Like,
Yeah.
Kainoa was a heavy dude too.
Yeah, big. Yeah, he was actually when I started, he was just a little guy.
Right.
Yeah, and then he sprouted and became this like, you know,
Animal.
big guy. Yeah.
Out at pipe too, you know.
Oh yeah, he had a good run. That guy was what he could do on the drop knee was incredible. Yeah, and stand up. He's an unreal stand up paddler.
Yeah.
Yeah, all around
I
waterman.
know,
Yeah,
yeah.
good surfer, bro. He lives out in Makaha now.
Yeah.
Yeah, lifeguard.
Out there with like by Dwayne DeSoto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, shoot, then like you were competing more or like just what was happening? Like the sponsor ended up paying you? Like
Yeah,
Rodman,
so-
like you was following Rodman, you created this character.
So I had a friend in the surfing industry. His name was Ronnie Burns.
Okay. Uncle Ronnie Burns.
Yeah, and he was
From Locomotion.
bro, he was unreal. He was Sarah's Surf and Shore.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and Locomotion too. Right. So
Rob Burns, right? Rob Burns was from He owned
Rob Burns, okay.
Uncle Ravi.
Right. So he was Locomotion, but Ronnie Burns,
that's right.
was he, in my opinion, the greatest surfer ever to surf the North Shore. This guy was he was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way he did it, he did the contest too, but he was more of a traveler. Like he was just
more like lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to be like Ronnie, so that's how I did it. I'm like, I'm not that. I did a little bit of the contest over in California just to have that experience, but because of my stature, I'm like 6'3",
Mm-hmm.
and 200 pounds. It's real hard to go out to Manhattan Beach in 1 foot and out compete Danny Kim standing up doing 30 belly stand up spins on his boogie board. You just there's no comparison. Well, I can't even ride the wave, and this guy's just.
So they was paying you to go travel to like Bali or all these different.
Yes, so that was more fun to me.
Right.
I spend my time doing that, but it was kind of like a rite of passage. You had to go to California.
Mm-hmm.
And go hang out at the magazine,
Right. Compete
and that's where
over
all the
there, too.
manufacturers were. All the boards were being built in Oceanside
Oceanside.
for the most part, and then so you got to go.
And that's where they used to have the nationals. Yep.
Yes.
Back in the Oceanside Beach,
Yes.
right? But like the pier or
Exactly.
the pier, right? On the,
there was a
right
jetty,
side, yeah.
a jetty, Oceanside.
Yes, because I used to compete, following you guys after
Right.
they had Bob Thompson used
Bob
to do
Thomas.
Bob Thomas, right? Used to do all the free More Boogie contests.
Yes.
And I used to compete with Kawi Kawi,
Yeah,
Mikey Bunyan.
that's right.
Eugene Textura, like all the younger generation.
That's
A
right.
little bit younger than you guys. And I remember, like I was living on the Big Island. I was hitchhiking to go like to Pohiki and to Honolulu and Richardson's Beach. And then I flew back because my mom lived in Honolulu.
Okay.
So I came back and then I was all into bodyboarding, right? And then
I remember.
it's like, so I was like I'm originally from Waimanalo, but then I moved, to the Big Island and came back. My mom was in Kailua, and then shoot the free boogie board contest at like Sherwood's.
Yes.
And then, all these different events.
Oh, that was a
But
killer
then
event.
if you win top 3 and you get all these points, and then they send you to the nationals, and that's where
Right.
my career started as in the bodyboarding, and where I got my the first sponsor, Viper, right?
That's
It's
right.
like so crazy.
That's right. I know.
And it was just insane, because all the Nalo boys and the guys from the east side I was competing against, and I won a contest over there at Sandy Beach, against like Kawi Kawi. It's like, because he rips, right?
Yeah, no.
That was the most memorable moment.
That's like the dream right there, huh? And you get that
But I
first
never
sponsor?
had like your mentality or the camera guys on me. It was all in here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Never got the part where people, used to take pictures.
Right.
So it was like the underground, bodyboarder.
So when I first got into it, I analyze it. So I'm really good. Like, so it's kind of like a thing I have inherently. I like to solve problems, and so I really relish the opportunity to solve problems. I find a lot of joy in it. So I broke it down. I'm like, okay, so who's the best at this sport, and why are they best, and what makes them the best, and what do I need to do to be the best? And I was like, I figured out real quickly that if they don't see it, it doesn't happen.
Right.
Doesn't matter what contest I win, if they don't see it.
Right.
So I literally, like, cloudy days, you're not really gonna find me. You wouldn't find me down at the beach. I'm like, okay, right, it's sunny. Where's the photographers?
The tactics, right?
Yeah, so I just 100% knew I had to get those. It was so difficult to get photographs back in the day. It was like, because you're competing with the pro surfers. And so the photographers and the pro surfers were making a lot more money than we were.
Right.
Yeah. And so the photographers, there's just more sponsors, more magazines. So to get the photographers to take their attention off the surfers and then focus their attention on you as a bodyboarder, you really had to bring something to the table, and that was a lot easier said than done. Even though I was kind of like, one of the better guys, it was still extremely difficult.
Yeah.
So that was the deciding factor.
Nice.
That made it happen.
Yeah, and you had fun while you're doing it. So after all of that happened, like now today, are you like collabing with anybody, creating bodyboards, fins? What's new for Hauoli in the I know we're gonna go into we're gonna talk about something else, but like
right.
the bodyboarding world, what's happening for you right now as
Hauoli
Reeves?
So the sport of bodyboarding back in the day kind of it had this almost a perfect storm of events that created I wouldn't say the demise, but the decline. And then so with like the loss of the magazines and the contest series, and then basically just dried up, like all that prosperity we experienced back in the 90s and the early 80s or late 80s just disappeared. And so I lost my sponsorship, my lack of focus, getting distracted with the whole party lifestyle, I had one of my sponsors was the pink Cadillac. Camacho, George Camacho, he used to hook it up, and so it was hard, that lifestyle, and so that took its toll on me, and so lost a lot of clarity, focus, and so when I that helped, that was a factor in my just not making good choices for myself, and then ended up losing my sponsorship, and then I went into deep depression, and that was really challenging. I understand, it's like a pro athlete, like a football player, and it's like, okay, you're on TV all the time, you're in commercials, and you're in the magazines, these videos and stuff. We had a kind of a thing going back there, it was like, and then to lose all of that, okay, there's no more checks showing up in the mail, there's no more free products, no accolades. It's like kind of the ride's over. And that's it's like,
a hard pill to swallow.
Exactly. Yeah, it was really challenging for me. And I was depressed, suicidal. And so I stepped away from the sport, and what am I what's a boogie boarder? That's all. Basically that's all I knew how to do was boogie board and smoke dope and drink beer on the beach.
Right.
And so I became a bartender. I was like, all right. So I had a lot of friends, a lot of notoriety. So I managed to get in, but that was very a humbling experience, because you don't just like go to the top of the pecking order. You got to start at the bottom. Like, okay, we'll give you a job at this killer nightclub, but you got to be a busboy first, and then you can be a bar back. And then so I did that, and that was, seeing my friends coming in going, "What are you doing? You're the bar back? Like, shouldn't you own this club?" Oh, that was a hard one, bro. I was like, "Oh man,
humbling experience."
Yeah, it was good though. It was good for me, because that whole bodyboarding ride had inflated my ego so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, it's good to
I'm
get
a
right
man.
size. Yeah, and so I did that, and then that just fed the disease even more.
Mm-hmm.
And that just that was like a fast track to just falling straight on my face. And
Right.
and I share this is I was suicidal, and I actually decided that I didn't want to be on this earth anymore, and tried to take my life with a bottle of muscle relaxers one night in a drunken stupor blackout. And by the grace of God, I woke up in the ICU and had failed. And so that was the beginning of my path to recovery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a deep moment, and
Yeah.
but man, I think look at you now. I mean, from
Yeah.
then to now, like all the things you're doing now that I talk to you about is super awesome to come from, a deep place,
Right.
right? And recover from that. And now you're an inspiration to others that, go into that deep depression. What was
Yeah.
I know in the ICU, what was that turning point?
Yeah. So I woke up out of I was in the ICU, and I woke up, and there was a priest reading me my last rites. And I woke up, and I was like, I was really arrogant, and I was like, the doctor was over there, and I was like, he was reading me my last rite. I'm like, what's he doing over here? And he's like, well, the amount of muscle relaxers that you took that were in your system, you're not out of the woods. And so, you could actually die any moment. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to die, so you can just fuck off, right? That was my attitude basically.
Right.
And the doctor, and then the priest leaves, and the doctor comes up to me, and I never forget this doctor. I need to go down there and find out who he was, because it was a turning point in my life. But he came up to me at the bedside, and he looked at me. He says, you're a young, healthy individual, strong. I'm a doctor, and my job is to help people get healthy. And there's a line going out the door and down the road, as far as I can see, that with people that would give anything to have what you have. And you just so carelessly throw that away. And I gotta tell you, I fucking hate guys like you.
Wow.
He right there, and I was like, oh wow, like, oh, this guy's serious, right? You know what I mean? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, wow, he's right. It's like, how did I get to this point in my life? And I was like spiritually bankrupt at that point in my life. I had no, spiritual morality at all.
Right.
And I just remember I was like a complete slave to the bottle and drugs. And I had no control, no self-control. I had no choice. It was autopilot. It was all, it's like Groundhog Day every day. Just, I couldn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
I was completely addicted. And at that moment, I just remember uttering those words, God, please help me. And that was the change right there. It was that moment that my life changed 17 years ago.
I think he was listening to you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And so then they moved me out of the ICU into the regular room, and it was a Sunday. And I remember going, oh, right on, I'll have some lunch, watch football. Yeah, everything's all good, right? Meanwhile, my mom and my loved ones, my kids they're beside themselves. Right. You know what I mean? And at that point in my life, I didn't care about anybody or anything. Where's my next high coming from?
Right.
And it's a selfish disease. And I remember I was going to sit down and watch the football game, and a freaking earthquake hit. I don't know if you remember that earthquake 17-something years ago. And that thing, and a Straub hospital is built on rollers. and this is like 2006, and that thing, so it's on rollers so it doesn't fall over in the earthquake. It rolls. Like the whole building
was
moves.
shaking.
The whole building was shaking, and it was as if God was shaking me right there. And the bed was sliding all over the room, and it was banging the wall, and the curtains are swinging, and the panels are falling from the sky, and all the power went out, and it was everyone's screaming in there, and I'm like, and it's like God was shaking me in that building. You stupid son of a bitch!
Yeah.
I give you fucking everything. And this is what you do, huh? And then it stopped shaking. I was like, holy shit! Like I knew God was shaking that building. Like God was like giving me the wake up call. I felt the power of God at that moment. I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I looked at the door and I thought, if I run to the door, I can go down the freaking, the stairs, and where am I going to go out in the street? Then I can't watch the game.
Oh, classic.
And it shook again.
What?
Then it shook again. There was the after tremor. And it was like, yeah? I think I'm joking, bro. He shook me. And that was the moment I said, you know what? I'm done. This ride. I'm getting off this ride. I had enough. And my family pulled an intervention on me.
Mean.
Yeah. They said, we had enough of your shit. We're not going to watch you kill yourself slowly. You go kill yourself. You go do it on your own accord. My mom told me, I'm taking the kids, and we're out of here. We ain't putting up with this shit anymore. So my mom had a friend that worked at a treatment center in the mainland, and we were able to get me an appointment.
Nice.
And so I accepted her offer. I said, okay, I'll go to the treatment center. I didn't want to go.
Of course not.
Yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. They'll teach me how to drink is what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like a gentleman. And I remember having the interview, and I went in there, and they're like, so why should we let you into our treatment center? Yeah. And I looked at him and I said, I don't think I got a second shot at this. I said, if you don't let me in, it's going to kill me. I'm going to die. This thing's going to kill me. So I hope you guys please let me,
Let you in.
let me in. And I went and I did it. It was 105 days of treatment.
Wow.
Yeah. Lock up. No, you can go, but I wanted to be there. I knew I had to be there. And that was the first time in my life I had really done something successful, where I actually followed through, like school and all that. I never followed through with anything. I was never did all my homework assignments. This one, I was like, whatever they told me to do. They said jump. I said, how high?
Right.
And I'm just grateful that it stuck.
Right. So I mean, there's definitely help, and I'm glad that your parents, did an intervention for you. Like,
I wouldn't have gone.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
My situation, I like hit rock bottom, in high school, and like I really told my mom I need help, and we went to Bobby Benson.
Oh, awesome! You went there?
I was there.
He was from Coolio. Oh,
yeah.
Bobby Benson.
Yeah, and that was another, like, I changed my lifestyle a little while because I was just getting ready to finish high school, and
wow.
went in. I was, of course, smoking, drinking, and then getting high on, like crack and coke and all that stuff, and then I couldn't control.
Yep.
And I think that going through that program, like, changed. My life changed after that.
Yes.
And it definitely helped.
Wow.
I realized, like, what I was doing, and like, if you're like I said again, like your friends.
I didn't know you went to that program. That's so awesome.
Right? Yeah, and then I even, years later, I graduated, went to the military and stuff like that, came back, worked for Hawaiian Airlines, and then.
That's right. You're giving me a flashback.
What is that? What is his name? John Kelly.
Yeah.
So John Kelly got me in.
Oh, I love that guy.
And then I screwed that up, right? Because I was getting back into drugs again.
Yeah.
Right? But this time was with crystal meth.
Oh.
And it's like,
right?
Then I got arrested, bro.
Oh my
right? Then I got
goodness.
arrested, and then while I got arrested, through the federal, the feds, and shoot, I told them I got a problem, like I need help, right?
Yeah.
So before I went in, I went to Hinamauka, another program, right?
Okay. Another good program.
Before they threw me up in the slammer, and then
Oh, wow.
But that moment when I got arrested was the turning point, like you, right? My bottom, where
Yes.
it's like, thank you, God. I mean,
Right?
I needed this
Yes.
to change.
100%.
And I went away for I was away for like 7 years,
Wow.
in federal prison, and in there just changed my whole mindset. The people that were in there, of course, had the rascal guys that they'll come out, go back in, of course.
Of course.
Right? The connections is even better in there, but I chose to pick up the Bible, read the Bible, twice in there, from cover to cover.
You started
and
hanging around with the right
chronologically.
people. Did you have a mentor in there?
I did. God was always with
Right.
me. I the one who left, right?
Yeah.
We the one who leave God.
Right?
And I decided to, learn from other guys that were like white collar crime guys who never paid their taxes, or they,
Right.
I don't know what they call them.
You don't know.
They just made mistakes, right?
Sure.
And I sat hours, bro, with these guys. Like,
So those were your mentors, yeah?
taught me about taxes. They taught me
Wow.
about trading stocks, options, right? Teaching me how to create your own business, how to dress for interviews and stuff like that. And then also another guy who taught me about real estate, right? And then I had all the time to go read Rich Dad Poor Dad, like Robert Kiyosaki and stuff.
Right.
So that was when my mindset changed when I was in there. Prior to coming out, I already knew, like, oh shoot,
You were just on
I'm gonna
fire.
get involved with something that can create generational wealth, and I mean, huge turning point, right? And
Yes.
is that something that I know we talked about, something are you passionate about now? That is that something you do as well? Like, are you in the do you invest in real estate?
100%.
Wow,
Yeah.
right?
So I was kind of, I got sober, and I was just kind of, my life got substantially better. That's what happens with clear mind. I start making better choices and start to see the fruits of sobriety, and start hanging out with a different set of friends, and so I like to surround myself with winners, always have. So even in my boogie boarding career, I hang out with the best guys. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be the best, I got to hang out with the best guys. So
Right.
I do that in life as well. And so, people that are successful, well, successful is kind of like, it's all perspective. What's success, right? So for some people, it's health. Some people, it's a relationship, a loving partner. For other people, it's a Lamborghini in the garage. Other people, it's a house on the beach, or, right?
Yeah.
What's, there is no right answer for success. So, for me, it's like, hey, someone that's sober,
Right.
that's a successful person.
Right.
So I started hanging around with these successful people in all forms, and just watching, and I just start paying attention what they do and what is it that makes them successful. And then that's when the lights kind of turned on with me, and I realized that wow, I have all these blessings. Like a lot of local kids, our parents had land that was passed down,
Right.
and stuff. And so, I was kind of on cruise control, just going, you just go down the beach and hang out. And as long as I don't get drunk, I'm cool,
Right.
And then I started seeing my friends do these deals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you mean you just did $60 million?
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, you just go out there and you leverage your property, and you find something that has you can develop, and And so I was like paying attention to these people and learning a little bit more about money and how money works. And wow, a lot of people have this kind of a negative outlook toward money, and
Money only enhances the person you are, right?
100%.
If you're good
Yes.
with money, a good person,
Yes,
you can do good things. If you're bad
Exactly.
with money, right?
I always say, money doesn't buy happiness, right? Well, I'd rather be unhappy driving a Porsche than unhappy catching the bus.
Yeah.
No, I'm not unhappy, but I figured out that with more money, the more I can give.
Right.
And so that's my driving factor, is that when you have someone, and everyone comes across hard times,
Right.
and so just to be able to help somebody
Right.
without, hey, look, yeah, of course I'm gonna help you out.
Right.
It's feel good, but if I don't have any money, how am I gonna help them?
Right.
And then there's also that Bible verse that talks about God, where you bless the people with gifts, and it's like you got to take God's gift, this blessing I received, and I can't just sit on that.
Right.
It's not good enough. I need to grow it.
Right.
Because it was given to me, so grow it. And with everyone, as I listen to you a lot, and
Thank you.
there's so many Hawaiians that are, having to move. It breaks my heart, and there are loved ones and my friends, and it's like, I don't want my kids having to go to the mainland.
We continually see a lot of our friends and family dealing with this issue, and I think it's really we of course living in a corrupt state, right?
Oh.
The people that's in charge, of course, probably people with the money,
Right.
and man, I sit neutral, but I do my part, my kuleana, and that's why I took social media serious for our local community.
Right.
Started posting, talking about what's in here, how I feel,
Yes.
and the inspiration that the things that I went through, share with others that financial education was never taught to any of to me,
Right.
growing up, always taught to go get a job, go school,
Right. You
right?
got to
Go
work
get a
hard.
degree, right? And then you tell me how much people use the degree. They go pay all this money to go get a degree, and then they don't even use it.
It's
Right.
a scam.
So,
Yeah.
but going back into we just see it just getting worse and worse here in Hawaii, and
Right.
collabing with people who are wanting to give back, right?
Right.
And being mentors, or where people can message us nowadays is pretty crazy. They can just message you on social media and say, "Hey, I like what you talked about, and can you help me with this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure,"
Mm-hmm.
and be that guiding light to say, "Hey, look, I went to my bottom, I came out, I figured out, okay, this is the steps I needed to do." Like you spent your time around people who are smart with their money and invested their money through real estate, and now they're successful, and
Right.
creating this generational wealth so that their family or their kids they don't have to move away from Hawaii.
Right.
And the crazy thing, even if our families and friends did move away from Hawaii, they can do things while they're there to create that wealth,
Right.
to come back and
100%.
buy the peace
Yes.
back. And I think that's the only way right now, is they're not giving us it back, so we got to learn how to buy it back.
Right.
So
I look at it like this. There's a lot of different venues in life, right? Like paths you can take, and so for me, I stick with what I know, right? So what do I know, right? Well, I know if I own land, I can rent my house out.
yeah,
Now I got income.
right,
I can plant a mango tree. Now I can go pick that mango and eat that mango. That's something tangible.
Right.
But if I invest in, and I'm not putting anything down like cryptocurrency or stocks or, these other venues, well, frankly, I don't know anything about that. I don't. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's not good. I don't know about that. But I do know that if I have land, I can go out there and that land can feed me. And I can feed my ohana with the land and I can generate income off that. I've never heard anyone tell me, I'm so happy I sold that piece of real estate.
Right.
I've yet to hear that one.
Right.
I only hear, auntie owned this or mom owned that or we used to have that. Oh, man, can you imagine? Right. Oh, I wish we never sell them. So, that's the one thing. I've never seen it go down.
Right.
They're not making any more of it.
Nope.
And just what I've witnessed in my short lifetime is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Crazy how the prices,
the
right?
prices have gone and how much rent is.
From like, I would say the 2000s
Yes.
to now.
Right.
Like,
who'd have thought?
Like quadrupled, like,
and
in price.
People think it's expensive now. I think we're in the golden era, right? I think in the next year or two, we're going to witness prosperity like we've never seen before.
Right.
I truly believe that.
Right.
And you look at it and you're like, oh, but it's so expensive. No, they're going to go back and they're going to say, how did you know to buy?
Right.
How did you know in 2024?
Yeah, I mean, talking about that, like how did you learn like, the real estate game? Like what was, you had a mentor, you paid for a coaching program,
No.
Yeah. Just hung around the right people that was.
So my dad worked for the union, the electrical union. And so he had this like whip of a gal that helped him with his loans and investments. And she was just a real, like kind of a dynamo. And on his deathbed, he had asked her if she would look out for me. And she said, yeah, she would. And she's just one of those just genuine people. And so after my dad had passed, she had shared this with me. And so she's always been there for me. And she's a realtor and does her own transactions. So I just basically am like a sponge, and anything she tells me and does, I'm just, okay, perfect, let's do it. And so she's kind of one of my main, her name's Belinda. Belinda Miranda.
Belinda.
Yes. She's with Nakamoto Realty. So if you're looking
Realty.
Yes.
So that's kind of, she took you under her wing.
She took me under my wing. She's like my sister.
Taught you everything about real estate.
Well, not everything. But I mean, she has opened my eyes to what's possible.
Right.
And how to leverage what I have.
Is it important, do you think, that people, from Hawaii should learn?
100%. Right. That's it. That's where it's at right now. And what's amazing is you can go get your own realtor's license.
Right.
And you can go learn how to submit your own plans for building. This is stuff readily available.
Right.
For anybody can do it that wants to.
Right.
And you can go on Pinterest and pull off plans to design your house, and it's out there. The hardest part about doing it is believing you can do it.
Right.
That's the hardest part.
Right? The mindset.
The mindset. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And then the second hardest part is taking the first step.
Yeah, taking action, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And anyway.
That's so classic, right? Because there's a lot of people that, you can't do it without your own money. You got to have money to do real estate, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, I've done this real estate game with none of my own money. Starting with borrowing money from the credit that I had to get the Malama loan to pay for the coach. And then from the coaching, the student brought the deal.
I love that story.
The student brought the deal. The coach had the money. Put two of them together. I was in the middle.
Yep.
I was able to pay for my education, and everything it's all profit.
Right.
You know, I live a comfortable life. I take care of my family, and we get to travel a lot. You know, like stuff that I always wanted to do and never seen. You know, my mom, she always had like 3 jobs, right?
Right.
Like always working, never there. Like I didn't want that for my kids. So
A lot of friends look at me and they say, "Oh yeah, it's easy for you. You know, you got your land was given to you and your mom and this and that." And I go, "Oh, bro, your name comes up all the time. Oh yeah, you never saw my friend Fuzzy, bro. You can check his Instagram page, bro. There's, either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. You can
And-
lead a horse to water, brother.
right, they're not gonna drink.
You can't make them drink. So I just try to lead by example. Just like, okay.
Well, hey man, I'm blessed to have you on the show,
Oh,
bro.
so grateful, bro. Thank you.
What's one thing you can share with our audience on maybe taking action? What one liner that you can tell them, like, okay, go to Bobby Benson if you need help. You know what I mean? Like something that they can take and some
Yeah.
type of advice.
Okay, so for me, I'm glad you asked me that, and thank you for having me on the show and giving me a platform to
Share your
talk
story,
about.
brother.
None of this would be possible if I wasn't sober.
Right.
And so if you're one of those people and you listen to us and you think you want to get sober, I will help anybody. I'll help anybody.
And me
I'm on
too.
Instagram, Hauoli Vision, and if you're willing, I'm willing, and that's the key factor. Without my sobriety, none of this is possible. I wouldn't have anything. It all goes out. But sobriety is number one in my life,
Right.
and with that sobriety came clarity of mind, and came. I experienced a spiritual awakening, and so I'm very God conscious. I believe in, I have a higher power, and I'm not here to preach to anybody, but I'm just sharing my own experience that I have these. I pray every day. I give thanks every morning, every night, and when I pray, I only pray for prayers of thought, for thanks, and God's will. God's will and the ability to carry that out, and that's where I find all my direction comes from, bro. Like,
Nice.
I've been chasing that woo 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 feeling my whole life with
Right.
drugs and alcohol, and it wasn't until I got sober, bro. I trip out harder now sober than I ever did on, and
Life is much better, right?
it's incredible. And then that's where all this inspiration comes from. The people like you come in my life. The right people come at the right time, and
right.
it's all on God's timing.
I mean, thank you for giving me a call. I mean, I don't know how.
Oh, 100%.
I think you messaged me on social. Oh, we called on social media or something.
Yes.
Right? I was like, what? Hauoli Reeves. Yes,
I was like,
let's
hey,
go.
man, look at this guy. I was like, wow, I remember you, bro. Look at you. And then I started doing a little digging on what you were doing. I was just had to call you up, bro.
Bro, right on.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on
My
the show.
pleasure, bro.
If you guys want to check out Hauoli Reeves, he's on
Thank you.
Hauoli Vision on Instagram. You get any other pages or websites you on? Or help out like your brand, like if you bodyboarder, what kind of boards? I think you.
Oh,
hooked up
right,
with,
hub
like,
boards. So
Hubbard.
yes, I got the Hubbard. I'm on board with the Hubbard brothers.
Yes.
And so they came out with Hauoli model, the VF,
right
the
on.
Volume Flex. It's more of an old school style board that
50-50 rail or what? 60-40.
more like the Mach 7
yeah,
and the VF back in the day, the little more volume for the heavier set guy. But we have a multitude of different sizes and stuff.
Nice.
And those guys are wonderful.
Oh man,
They're beautiful. They're beautiful. And the whole team, they
Yeah.
got a whole team of guys all over the globe, and everybody's just
good people, right?
Yeah.
And he took over. So, like, just to go over what Jeff does too, he does the free bodyboard contest every year, right? That took over from what was it?
Bob Thomas.
Bob Thomas used
Yep.
to do. So, when I came out, I was one of the first things I wanted to do to give back to our community. I was like, dude, we should put this together. And
Yeah.
Hub took it, and I'm stoked, that he's doing
That's
that
such
for
a
our
great,
community.
that's such a fun event.
The kids from West Side come over
Everywhere.
It's like
It's a-
from the outer islands as well. So
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, they do a lot of that's why I resonated with those two guys. You know,
Yeah.
so grateful to be a part of that whole team.
Humble people, humble guys, and just such awesome. Like
Yes.
you just get such good vibes from them. You know.
Yeah. I trip out. Like I never thought I'd be in this position.
Yeah.
Like, you know, riding these waves I'm
What
riding
better
now.
person to people to be riding, you know, their equipment, because you know they're top of the line, like top of the line stuff.
Yes. Yes. The boards they're coming out with now, my last batch, they change every so they every 6 months or so we get a different, you know, improvements. And so this last is so like I have different versions, they're limited. So they only do a limited run
Right.
and then they're done.
Right.
So the boogie boards are kind of interesting. They're like kind of a collector thing. So a lot of
Collector's
there's a
item.
bunch of collectors. They collect any
Yeah, I
old
know.
boogie boards.
I
Bro,
had-
hang on to
I
those
had a
things.
custom X that Keone Gunderson sold to me.
Okay,
He's like,
okay.
I said, bro, I still get your board. What, you like them back? I gave them back to him.
Hang on to it. It might be worth some money.
It
or
is,
so-
yeah.
Oh, you gave it back.
I gave him back to
Oh,
him,
he's
yeah, yeah.
stoked. Yeah, right on.
I gave them back to him. So
Awesome.
right on. Thank you again for
My
coming
pleasure,
on the
brother.
show.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
if you guys like the show, please like, subscribe, and share if you will. Share this with other people who may be interested in it. And thank you for watching Puka Pockets. Mahalo. Aloha.
Hey, if you're local and you enjoyed this show, please follow my other social media platforms called Puka Pockets, and please share, like, comment, and we'll see you on the next one.